Hey out there, legal warriors. If you're charged with a crime, your emotions are all over the place. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can save your case by managing your emotions. And this can apply to anybody, not just to people accused of crimes. If you're interested in this topic, stay tuned. This is the video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear. I'm a defense attorney in Lynnwood, Washington. My law firm's been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington State for more than 20 years, and I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. So if you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get to see it. More people get the help they need. Now I'm just going to jump right into it. Emotions are what run us. And when you are accused of a crime, certain emotional states can happen to us that can really mess up our case. And managing our emotions is so important if we want to get the best outcome in our case and actually get the best outcome in our daily lives as well. So what I want to talk about here is the examples of how certain types of emotions can mess up your case and then maybe what we can do about it. I think the first emotion that I see people have that are accused of a crime is anxiety. People are very anxious, and that makes sense. Someone accused of a crime feels like their life may be over, that there's no end in sight, that their future has totally been ruined. And if we go on lawyer Google, we start Googling things, that's all we're going to see. We're going to see all these horrible possible outcomes, all these possible jail times, if you're a non-citizen, how you might get deported. And the reason why that's what you see when you type things online is because that's what marketers market to, right? Marketers market to fear. And if someone types in something online that says, hey, it's going to be all right, that's not going to make you call them. That's not going to make you want to hire them. That's not going to up urgency to try to get you to call someone to get some help. And it's important you do need some help, but if we want to manage our anxiety, we have to get off of the computer. We have to get off of Googling possible outcomes or analyzing what might happen. A safer place to go is, believe it or not, my YouTube channel is a lot safer to go to because if you've watched this channel for a while, I'm trying to tell you how it really works and what really happens. And if you also have watched for a while, you know that law is local. One case in the city of Lynnwood, the exact same case in the city of Kent could have a totally different approach and a totally different likely outcome. And that's because there's different people and different cultures in prosecutor's office and courts making those decisions. And so lawyer Google doesn't tell you that. There's no way that someone's going to type online, hey, these prosecutors are really nice humans, and therefore if we do certain things and talk about your lack of any history and all the treatment you're going to do and all these things, that everything's going to be okay. That's never going to be written there. And that's why you need to consult with an attorney. This is one way to deal with that anxiety. Another thing that we suffer with that anxiety is when is the end? I don't want to deal with this. I want to put my head in the sand. And there's, different books I've mentioned on this channel before. One is a book about stoicism, right? The obstacle is the way. And that's by an author named Holiday is the last name. But the theory of that is the best way to get to the end of a problem is to go directly through it, right? Go towards the obstacle, go towards the hard thing, go towards the fear. And we're going to be more likely to get through it. Another way to put it, is if you have a huge project, how do you need an elephant? One bite at a time, right? You break the things down into a little step because if we're afraid and we are afraid to go towards something, I still do it, even running this big office. Let me tell you, I need to reread these books myself. If we're afraid and we don't take steps towards the obstacle, not only will our fear grow, but the outcomes will probably be worse. Because as time passes and we ignore a problem, things can get worse. Another book that I've mentioned on here you might want to take a look at is The Four Agreements, right, by Don Miguel Ruiz. And the biggest agreement that you need to use, what is an agreement? Agreement is like, hey, a way that you see the world, sort of a rule to live by. I write the agreements into my suits. Believe me, that's how much they help me. But the one I want to point out here is don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions about what's going to happen. Don't assume the worst is going to happen. Don't assume because you've been arrested for something that your life is over, that you're never going to get a job, all these things. If you go to an attorney that has a lot of experience, they're going to be able to give you the real world data about what actually happens. Because remember, our biology is based upon survival, and a fear reaction might help us get away from predators and things like that. But those predators, for the most part, don't exist anymore. But yet that fear reaction is still in us. And so if we can really live by certain rules, don't make assumptions about what's going to happen, that's one way to tamp down on that anxiety. So besides anxiety, which is, hey, fear of what's going to happen, what's another emotion that can get in the way? Well, the secondary emotion that covers up the primary emotion of fear or anxiety is anger, right? Anger is always to block fear or anxiety. And if we have a case where we're accused of a crime, we might be really angry. We might be really angry at our partner or our spouse who called the police. We might be really angry at the police officer who pulled us over for DUI. We might be really angry at the judge who didn't let us out of jail, or our parents, or all these different things. And if that anger goes unchecked and unmanaged, it makes us do stupid things. It makes people accused of crimes do stupid things. What might they do? Well, they might send a nasty email to the prosecutor, directly communicating with the prosecutor. That's what makes them look unhinged. And now the prosecutor's going to pay attention to that case and go, this person's dangerous. I don't normally get these angry emails or phone calls sent to me. It might also make us break no contact orders, right? If you get arrested and you have a no contact order, plenty of cases I've seen with this text message, you did this to me, right? And now we've got a new crime because we couldn't handle our anger. And one way to handle anger is you could go through some techniques. You could go through some somatic experiencing techniques, sit in your chair, ground yourself, get yourself outside of your head and into your body. For me, it might be putting my arms on my chair, feet firmly on the ground, back against the chair, closing my eyes and just listening, right? Just listening. What do I hear, right? How do I feel in my body? I'll also do, if you're in my office, you'd see a bunch of little knickknacks and things seated to my left. And I might pick up one of these little knickknacks that are there for a reason, because it's high stress being a lawyer. I might look at this and go, oh, how is this little giraffe made? Right? I picked up this giraffe on some trip a long time ago to take photos in South Africa, but I brought that back and I'll look at it and go, how is this made? And look at this fine detail. And the reason why I'm doing that is to stop my head, right? To stop my head. I'm getting myself outside of my head and into something else, be it my body or another object. And when we're activated, right, there's not much else we can do, right? We're not going to be able to read our way out of activation, right, like we might be with anxiety, because we're so amped up, right? The nervous system is amped up. The adrenaline is going. Your blood sugar is going to go up from all the cortisol because we're not running around. And it's sort of a cycle that happens again and again. So physical activity, right? Jog in place, go walk outside, do something that gets you out of your head and into your physical body so you can get that change. And again, why do we need to change it? You're not only going to feel bad, you're going to do something stupid, potentially, that's going to make your situation worse. That's another thing that I want you to watch about. Akin to this would be, might be a consequence of these, but let's just call it's not necessarily emotion, but let's call it avoidance. Some people will just avoid, right? Some people will just, for whatever reason, they're going to avoid the problem. They're going to put their head in the sand. They're going to shut down. Might be, biological reasons like depression, things like this. Chemical reasons, maybe we're not, we're not on our meds or we're drinking too much, but avoidance. And how, if we're in that situation where we're just not doing anything, then it may come time to think about just what is the one little next step that we could do. And there's a theory of that, and you could look this up online. It's called Constructive Living, okay? If we're really stuck in avoiding things, constructive living is one way that we can get out of it. The thought would be something like, hey, let's say you really don't like rain. And for it be an example, and you never want to go outside in the rain, and it really bothers you when it rains. Well, one way to think of that would be, well, it is raining. I do not like rain, but it is raining. I accept that it's raining. So you're not trying to change any big thing. And so if you're really stuck, what is that one thing you need to do next? It might simply be loading the dishwasher. It might be something related to your case. It might be, I should at least look up the court number. We'll take the next step tomorrow, right? It might be I need to reach out to a family member to share that I'm having problems. But if we're in this avoidance space, we need to just break it down into little tiny steps, because what's the consequences if we just avoid the problem? Well, we know we're not going to take the positive steps we need to do well in the case. And we also may end up with warrants for arrest because we just ignored the court dates, right? We're not going to get the outcome we want if we just avoid our attorneys. We never return their calls. We don't go to the court dates, and we don't do the affirmative things that we're going to need to do. And finally, I think sadness is another emotion that's related to these situations, and that's usually about the self-judgment that comes from someone who gets accused of a crime. And usually we're already carrying all this emotional stuff with us. That's sort of what got us into the position where maybe we acted out in some way. Oftentimes it changed a bodily feeling. But the sadness part is really about sort of rejecting oneself, feeling more defective because this happened. And that's a little bit also how we're designed to work. You know, when we're little tiny kids, we think we're responsible for everything. We're hyper-focused on our parents because biologically we need them to survive. And so we sort of internalize it all on us. And I can't tell you how many times it's made a big difference in my office when I can look at a client who's so sad and having just so hard on themselves, and I can just say, I forgive you. And the difference to anyone telling them they're forgiven can now maybe you can forgive yourself, right? And there's nothing wrong with somebody because they're charged with a crime, right? It's some type of law that someone says we did something wrong, and maybe it's legal in another country, maybe it's illegal here, but there's nothing wrong with you, and there's always going to be a way out. And so as far as if you're feeling really sad, and it's really important that you rely on the people and the animals that are around you. There's a reason why I always ask people, do you have any pets? You know, as a lawyer, why are you talking about my pets on my DUI case? Because I want to see what your support system looks like, right? You know, my favorite, I don't know if it's a joke, but, you know, we lock our best friend and our dog in the trunk for 6 hours. When we open the trunk, which one's happy to see us, right? That dog's happy to see us, right? That dog will always give us a love. The cat, maybe, right? I don't know, cat people out there, you can tell me. But if we're really sad, it's time that we begin to get in touch with reality. We get in touch with there's thousands and tens of thousands of people that have been through this before and are just fine, and that there's nothing wrong with you. And one of the agreements is also, this one's called always do your best. We're always doing our best with what we have to work with at the time. And whatever road you're on is where you need to get through to where you're going. There's no right road. There's no wrong road. There's the road that you have to go through based upon your unique life experiences. And how does being really sad hurt us? Well, again, it just shuts us down. We could get into new crimes. We might, take too many substances. We might, do other things that are against our physical and mental well-being. And definitely it will hurt our case. So it's important that we get out of those things. Now, I'm no doctor. I'm no licensed mental health professional. These are my experiences about how I work on myself to try to be able to be better for others. And if we can help manage our emotions in a criminal case, not only it's going to help your case, you're going to feel better. And that's what we need, right? We need to feel better. So I hope you found this useful. Give it a like if you want more people to see it. As you can tell, I'm passionate about this. And more importantly, if you have a criminal problem, you happen to be in Washington State, feel free to reach out to my firm. If we get on board, we'll listen to what happened, we'll identify a way forward, and we will be there for you. Thank you.